Hello and welcome. This is my next project, which is an old healing radio. It's a model 401E, built in about 1946-47. It's got a nice red case, which is reddy brown, so good. It's got white knobs, which I've looked at some photos of these, and they've all had the matching knobs. This one's got white. This also came in a white colour, the case. So, I don't know, this one's got white knobs. That wasn't unusual, so I'll assume that's the original. The back looks original too. It's got a modern cord on it, which been professionally wired in to the old fabric cord, aerial wire. Yeah, bit of tape. It's obviously come off the electrical lead, but looks all complete in there. That'll be a 6v6, I assume, sideways. And I love these little radios. They managed to pack so much in such a small area, and they've managed to squeeze a 5-inch speaker in there, which is pretty impressive. So I'm going to pull it apart. We'll see what's inside. Yeah, the speaker's hardwired in there, so I was expecting to see a plug, but I'll have to take the speaker out, I think. Well, there it is. I don't know, this had a lot of servicing in its lifetime, because, wow, looks totally original. It's even got a flat layer of dust and bugs and spider webs where it's been sitting in the case. I reckon that's going to be fairly original. Dial cord's come off. Oh, it's got some sort of rubber pulley there. That's going to be an issue. Just use a grommet, I suppose. Okay, so only two controls on it. There's the top. Yeah, 4 valves. Yeah, not much in there, is there? Pretty straightforward. But, the chassis looks good, so shouldn't need too much trouble to get this looking good anyway. Tell you what I'm going to do is take it outside and blow the rubbish out of it. Yeah, the speaker's good. Hasn't got any holes in it. No bugs have eaten it. So that's great. First time I haven't had to muck around with a speaker for a while. Well, for the benefit of YouTube, since I've been doing videos for YouTube, I've decided, well, I have been plugging these in straight, not plugging them in, but trying them out first to see what they behave like after 70 years or whatever time. And I've just buzzed this one out through the primary using the plug, and it's virtually as short. Gosh. So in Australia, the earth is green and yellow, and the active is brown, and the neutral is blue. Okay, so they've wired the earth onto the active side, and the blue's on the neutral side, and the brown active it's just wired through there and then bared it off. But I don't know why they use the green one. That's just setting somebody else up for the future, isn't it? So I'm going to take those out. I like the plug. The Bakelite plugs are good, particularly if you're doing an old radio. They're great. Now let's check this out. That's the neutral. Okay, and that's the one they were using, so that'll be the 240 spot. And we got about 39 ohms, and that's about what I expect. So I assume that old lead was shorted out somehow. Now that I've blown all the dust out, I can see all the components. So it's come up pretty good. This all I could see before of this was the little silver square. It's a choke. It says it's live, and that's because of the case of it is connected to the HT supply. And if I look up the top, you can see the little plastic screw attachments to keep it away from the chassis, and there'll be a lug on there somewhere, and that'll come straight off the HT. And I believe that's to minimise electrolysis, keep the windings and the case at about the same potential, so that there's not so much electrolysis between the two, and you get corrosion on your windings. I believe that's what it's for. If you know better than that, chuck it in the comments. Alright, so I think these caps here look pretty crusty. I'm not going to power this one up. I think I'll change the main electrolytics at the minimum. I've put a little cover on my speaker so I don't damage it, seeing it's one of the first speakers I've had that's hasn't got a hole in it, so I'll try and protect that. Alright, so I'll change some caps and get back in a minute. I just started pulling it apart, and I initially thought this would be the 6V6 output valve, but when I pull it out it's a 5Y3 GT. Now I was under the understanding these had to be mounted vertically for structural reasons inside the tube, but having read up on it, it says you can mount them vertically is preferred, but you can mount them horizontally provided you leave pins 2 and 8 in a horizontal plane. So that's exactly what they've done. That's the way it is. Yeah, so having it that way means the two elements are in a vertical position, so they're less likely to bend under the heat. So yeah, interesting. Find something every day. So I've changed all the caps. Took them all out. They're pretty awful looking caps. They're cracked, and I wasn't going to turn it on with that level of deterioration in the caps. I've tested the transformer. It seems to work. I tested it by using a multimeter. I didn't actually power it yet. I've added a couple of wires for the supply voltage. So I think I'm ready to go. I've put my multimeter on the plate of the output valve, and we'll see if that's got voltage on it when we power it up. Then I'll know the output transformers, everything's okay. The other thing was I tested the 5x3 rectifier, and that was not working at all. So I've replaced that. The 6v6 I tested, that was okay. The other two valves I can't actually test them, so I'll have to see how they go in the circuit. Okay, standard setup. I've got a variac. There's a isolation transformer up there, and I've got a watt meter going here. So I'm going to put it on restricted power, so the dim bulb will take the any excess current surge if there's an issue somewhere. I think we're ready to go, so I'm going to put it on restricted power. That looks good. Bulb's dying off nicely, that's great. I'll just set this to watts, 0.9 watts we got, and that looks good. 0.9's fine. I've got an aerial on it. Give it a bit of volume. Not hearing anything. It's only got about 170 volts. Should be enough to get something. It's getting something there. Okay. That one of the plates on the capacitors has been on the. There we go, fixed. Right, let's wind it back a tad. I'll put it on full power. What are we pulling? 1 watt. Well, that's not much, is it? Something's not working at all. Okay, I misread that. I said 0.9 watts, it's only 0.9 watts, so it's not doing anything. Okay, let's see what's going on. I've got 147 volts in the plate, which you can't see. So I've got 147 volts there. Let's go back to full power. 200 volts. Well, the watt meter's gone through. Yeah, 20 watts. Gosh. It doesn't like coming up slowly, that's the trouble with it. 224 it says. 230, that'll do. We've got 30 watts. I think it's rated about 30 watts. And we got 220 on the plate, so that's good. Everything should be working. I see it's got a dicky volume control, so yeah, that's not working till nearly flat out. Okay. Right.
That was it. Yeah, wow.
Doesn't like that, does it?
Well, no one got paid a cent, and from the next year, miraculously, they weren't any help. I think Scotty Gourlay lasted a week, and he didn't wear them.
Volume controls are up.
Yeah.
I've got an idea this doesn't have AVC.
Queensland Cup, East Tigers 10 lead, Central Queensland 0, Northern Pride.
It's got an issue there somewhere. Alright, well that's working. Okay, it's not going to sound very good. I've got a protective cover on the speaker, so it sounds pretty ordinary here.
361 is the open line number. Just stop moving your microphone or hit the off button.
Yeah, so we've got an issue there. We'll have to investigate that. Might be a shielding issue. Might be some of the components I've put in aren't happy where they are. I'm not sure what else I can do. Now these two valves have got built-in shields on them. There's sprayed on metallic shielding. So I'll just check to make sure they're going to earth. I've got my multimeter set up and I've got it connected one side connected to the chassis. So I should be able to just, if I can just get some sort of reading, it'll mean that it's, yeah, that one's okay. And this one here, there we go. So the shielding's intact, so it's making it back to the chassis. I'm just going to do a very quick alignment by ear. Because it's a reflex circuit, it tends to any sort of feedback at all, it just exacerbates it. So if I can get the alignment right, well, it might be enough to filter it out. Okay, let's power it up. I'll put it on restricted. Just make sure that globe works properly. There we go. So I'm feeding about 240 volts into it this morning. Well, there's our signal. So I'm feeding through a cap, I'm feeding into the grid of the mixer there. Let's see, as I say, I'll just do it by ear, and it's going to be quick. And the higher frequency is 455. That's a fair bit out, so I didn't actually check what it was before I started this. Let's turn that signal down. Let's see.
Gone for 2 weeks to it. As you do, unless, yeah. Country GP, well, they've got a break. I think it's a tough gig being a
still
GP.
there.
There's a lot of tough gigs, but that's another one. Being a GP and talking to people all day about their...
I was pretty sure that was going to address that. I'll have another go. I was a bit rough that time. I should have done it a bit better. Let's have another shot at it. So in the end, I've actually done it using a voltmeter across the speaker coil there to align it a bit more accurately. It's fixed the issue with it whistling in and out of as you approach the station and leave it.
When this recording
So that's gone, but it's still got that. It still goes into deep oscillation when you turn it right up. So you have to turn it up louder than what you'd comfortably listen to it, but there's still something wrong with it. And it seems to do it. There seems to be something wrong with this volume control as well. I need to check that. I need to check some voltages as well. I haven't checked any of those. I checked a couple of resistors yesterday when I was changing some caps, but they were all fine. But I'll go through. I might do all the voltages first and just make sure everything's working in that department and see how I go. I might also just use the multimeter or oscilloscope perhaps to just check this volume control. So I've printed out the voltages and put the pin numbers adjacent to it. I've got the volume on, as it says there. Put the volume on. So first is the input to filter should be 245. Let's see what that is. 241. I've got 230 volts exactly going into it, so 241. It's totally low, but it's not too bad. Now the plates. Let's start down the bottom. Volume on. 220 volts on number 3. 1, 2, 3. That's the 6V6 plate. We're supposed to have. Sorry, 220 we're supposed to have, and we've got 214. 4 is the next one along as the screen. I'll get my pin on it. Oh gosh. That's 225. It's supposed to be 232. Cathode's supposed to be 14. That's number 8. That's that one there. 12, so that's a bit low too. So they're all a bit low at the moment, but the input's a bit low too. So try them in the off. It's not going to make much difference, huh? Not on those ones. Let's just try that with volume off. The plate should be 220. It is exactly. Screen should be 232. It's 231. So that's pretty good. Put the volume on again. So we try this CBF2G. Volume on. Plate should be 232. That's number 3, pin 3. 224. That's low. Pin 4, I think, is the screen. 117. That's a bit high. 117. Number 7's the cathode, and it's supposed to be 27, and we'll be 23, so it's a bit low. So which was high there? The plate. 227. Alright. Volume on. Should be 232. Oh, it's not too bad. The screen's supposed to be 117. It's 130. That was high. I'll just turn the volume down. It should go to volume off, that is. 143. Yeah. Okay, now the third valve, or the third of the non-rectifying valves, is EK2G. Let's see. I'll put the volume on. I'll try the top plate. It should be 232. Gosh, I can't even see this one. 1, 2, 3. Was I looking for 3? 1, 2, 3. Let's try that there. What's that supposed to be? 232, and we've got 224. Volume on. Next one's the plate. Sorry, the screen. 73. What have we got? 75. The next one's the cathode, which is number 8. I think that's 8 there. It's at 23. It's supposed to be 27. If I turn the volume down, it should go to 15. It's dropping a bit low. Now the oscillator plate, number 6. Wow, that's a good one. Keep away from that thing. Oscillator is supposed to be, okay, the volume's on, should be 172, volume down, 177, goes up a bit. Yeah. It's behaving correctly, the voltages are slightly out, but nothing to be too concerned about. Alright, so I'm fairly happy with that. I started checking some more resistors. I've checked the ones up here that I can get to. There's one in there I haven't done, and that one in there. Well, I've checked all the resistors. I replaced one. It was a 1 meg resistor. I think it was reading about 1.3 or something. I don't think that was going to make any difference, but I changed it, so it's got 1 meg in there now. Just turned the power on. I'll just wait till it warms up.
Sharon 16, Darwin sunny and 29 degrees. Just ABC News.
So that's working.
How do you talk to your teenager about the birds and the bees? When your kids throw a test.
Yeah, still doing it. Okay, I do have another EK2G valve, which is that one, but I don't have an EBF2, I think it is. G, I don't have one of those. I'll just put power on again. I've changed the valve. See if this one's any different. Ooh, that's one that we got all.
And our quirky question before the news going off about names. Some very funny ones there, and plenty coming through on SMS as well. 0467 0222. Earlier in the
it's got that. It's got that whistling throat again. Okay. Chase my tail here. I wonder if that's affected the IF. And I need to redo the IF. I'm getting nowhere.
Have you got a backline of Hollywood names?
Yeah, it's still there. The problem's still there. So I don't think it's that valve. So I'm not going to bother. I'll just put the other valve back. I wish I had one of these. I spent a considerable amount of time over the last few hours trying to eliminate this squeal, and I've checked all the resistors. They're all okay. That was the only one I changed. That's a 1 meg. I changed that because it was slightly higher, and that's all. Everything else is fine. All the connections are right. I checked the components are all in the right place. I went around with a non-conductive paintbrush and just prodded and pushed on components, just trying to move them around, see if I could get any sort of change in the squeal, but nothing changed it. I belted the valves, see if they were harmonic, but that wasn't in there as either. I thought I had all that on film, but I got pause and record reversed, so I was pausing when I was supposed to be recording and recording when I was supposed to be pausing. So I didn't actually capture any of that, which is probably a great benefit to you guys. Anyway, the point is I really would like to change that EBF2G valve. I think it's probably the most likely to cause a squeal. In the meantime, what I have done is I've adjusted the two IF transformers away from the 455 kilocycles setting that they're supposed to be on, and I've dropped them down to about 454 kilocycles, and that's eliminated it completely. So it's working really well now. There's plenty of volume, and yeah, it sounds great. So that's working around it. It's not actually repairing it. Of course, that's just covering up the fault. So it's not really doing anything else other than making it sound good for the time being until I get that valve. So there it is working, and as I said, you need to put the volume up to half before you even hear anything, but that's been like that since I started. So that's one of the softer stations, so it's got plenty of volume.
So we will recognise the space apart through the middle of the Coral Shark's ruck, so there was always going to be an opportunity if there was support.
Yeah, so that's plenty of volume, but it still doesn't seem right. So, as I say, I've detuned the transformers, which is no point in aligning them and then detuning them to get the radio to work. So what I thought I might do is have a go at this, fixing this tuning setup. It's got a rubber grommet thing on there, and I'm going to replace it with my rubber grommet. This one's as hard as a rock. In fact, that'll just break off when I try and do it. So I'll have to pull that off. I assume it's got a little knurl in there and that'll fit on. I'll probably have to glue it, and we'll see how that goes. There you go, just put a bit of the gel super glue, and as I said, that takes up irregularities in the surface, which normal super glue won't fill any gaps. So I'll just let that set for a while. Well, there it is, all finished. I've put a new string on it as well. So pretty simple setup. It's just one wrap of string and a spring. So that's all there is to that one, and that's working very nice, very smooth. Put a bit of grease on the shaft to lubricate it, and that's very simple, very effective. And I got to say, it's working pretty well. I'm putting
on the wall.
sounds all right.
Sorry, Jack. I was just looking at Jack down on the sideline. Verdi's up here, so it made me think of him. But
well, I guess the next thing to do is clean up the chassis a bit more, and just clean all the bits of grime off it, and clean the case. And I guess I'll put it back in and wait for that valve to arrive. In the meantime, it'll work just fine. In fact, it's working really well. Alright, well, that's it for the day. I'm going to go and have a shower and have my dinner and watch the end of the footy. I just want to clean this up a bit. It's very grotty, but I don't want to lose its originality at the same time. So this capacitor's not looking the best at the top there on the top, and its little legs down the bottom there aren't faring as well. The transformer's a bit rusty. I think what I might try and do is I'll try and maybe I can try and repaint that. That'll bring that up. I might hit that with the sandblaster just very lightly, just to take that light corrosion that's on there, try and get rid of that if I can. And might do the same with the transformer to get that loose paint off, and perhaps just give it a brush with some paint to just make it look a bit better than it does. The rest of it I think I'll just clean with a bit of soap and water. I reckon that'll probably do just as well. Well, there it is, all done, all back together. Looks a bit cleaner than it was. These cleaned up alright. Put a bit of paint on the transformer, and generally it just looks a lot tidier and much neater. So once it's in the case, I think that'll look good and original, and the condenser came out pretty good. It's just cleaned all that garbage that was on there off pretty easily, so and it still works, so that's good. So I guess the thing to do now is just test it and make sure it still works, and we'll pop it back in the case. I fitted a new cord. This is one of Carl's, the Capacitor King's cords, so he sells a lot of stuff beside capacitors, and these are quite nice. Got an old moulded plug and a traditional looking cord on it, so I'll just plug it in and make sure it still works. Okay, so I've got it in restricted power. Let's put it on. See if our glow behaves itself. That's great. I'm reading 13 watts, dropping down. Okay, let's do it. So I've got 240 volts. I'll just pull that back a bit. There you go. 240, 23 watts. It's looking good. It's a bit soft, so I've just realised I've left this grid cap off. There we go, that should get it going.
Walk from Mickery and grenade well to, keep filling their water bags, make sure they have plenty of water. And David Lindsay timed all his camel, walking 5 miles, 3 minutes to the west and all that stuff, I should say. And
29, you booked 4 nights of rooms, which have been quite well received and things. So it's just a question.
Well, that's working as well as it ever did. So I'm going to put it back in its case. Okay, well, I haven't made this very easy. That's pretty much just sits there, and they use these little push clips to secure it. That's it. Should be able to just push them on. That's it. They're pretty secure, so alright. Oh, a bit of, can put my globe in. Okay. There we go, just 2 little screws to go in the back there. If you're wondering about dial alignment, it's the instructions say not to adjust anything. It's set at the factory. If you want to adjust it again, send it back to the factory. There is a small adjustment right on the top of the dial, and they seems to indicate it'll only give you a minor amount of adjustment anyway. So. Well, there it is, 1946 Healing Golden Voice. It's a model M401E out of Melbourne in Australia. 4 valve, comes up alright. Nice cabinet. I like the colour. It's good. It's better than brown all the time, so it's nice reddy colour. And did a little bit to the back, cleaned it up a bit, and yeah, just tidied a few things up in there. That looks much neater, much more presentable, and it deserves that at least. So I think the only thing I can do now is just try it out and see what it sounds like.
Our guest suggested it's harmless to egg someone, but listener Gabriel.
Race 9, 8157. The part is offering this exclusive 4x4 deal. Buy any 3 selected Falcon Wild Peak All-Terrain.
Yeah, well, that sounds pretty good. With the in the cabinet, it doesn't sound bad at all. Another little prize to put on my shelf with the rest of the radios. I turn them on, I rotate them and turn them on and use them all the time. So this one I'll put in the rotation. I'll just wait for that valve to come and see if that helps it at all, but really it's working perfectly. It's picking up stations other radios can't, so I don't think I'm going to worry too much about it. It's really good. Well, okay, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that. It was fun. It was very short, and I had a lot of trouble with this one, but I managed to work my way through it. Please comment and subscribe if you can. That would be fantastic. I look forward to some comments, some feedback. So I hope you join me for my next little radio adventure.